They said I could become anything, so I became a metapod with a sword. Much like the Four Lords with the First Flame, the gaming industry has tried many things to engulf itself in the age of Dark Souls. From Software has refined the formula and added it to settings that use it well. Deck 13 has added it to settings that don't. Team Cherry turned it into an indie darling, and now there is the furtive Cold Symmetry who asked, what if we took the supersized meal that is Dark Souls and condensed it into a Pringles can? You get Mortal Shell. The plot is surely to be revealed in some YouTube essay somewhere, but from what I can summarize is you are a broken shell of a man who can possess the bodies of dead knights and must use them to kill 3 bosses. From there you carry their glowy glands back to the hub for a chance to leave this foggy hellhole. That's all the context you're getting, but frankly if you expected more, you haven't been paying attention. The Dark Soul influence is strong with Mortal Shell, probably stronger than with most games of a similar ilk, so let's get the obvious similarities out of the way. Pausing's out, murky pits, die a lot, retrieve your shit, no directions, stories vague, and loading times go on for days. I am so sorry. What I found interesting is that it doesn't even change the aesthetic. I mean, games like The Surge will essentially have Dark Souls gameplay, but with a new setting. But Mortal Shell doesn't even get that far. You're stuck in medieval times. So hope you enjoyed chainmail, great swords, and loot players stopping abruptly. It's so similar that, to be completely honest, I don't recommend Mortal Shell to non-Souls players. To those people, it's pretty obvious what I'd recommend. Getting your shit together. But I don't know if I can criticize it for being a clone, because if you've looked at any of the trailers, gameplay footage, or frankly just the cover art, that shouldn't surprise you. If you are interested in the game, it's probably because it is a Dark Souls clone, and you're looking for a quick fix to keep the shivers at bay until the next From Software game. You just want to know if it's good or not, and the answer is yes. Yes it is. You've got 4 knights to possess, each of them have different health, stamina, and upgrade trees. Long-range attacks and magic are out. Well, I say magic, Sal. You can do some form of ultra attack after you do a perfect parry, which I guarantee you will do once, then try multiple times, and then die. So the game's entirely close combat, but what makes up for the narrowed variety is the ability to turn yourself into stone to endure an attack. At any point, you can use Harden to block an attack. You can even do it midway through your strikes or with aerial attacks. This mechanic is a lot of fun and allows it to differentiate itself from its predecessors. For seasoned Dark Souls players, it adds another element to the flow, so you can't rely entirely on muscle memory or twitchiness. It feels like a strange fusion of Quen from The Witcher 3 and that thing Hero does in Smash where he goes all metal for a few seconds, to nobody's benefit. In terms of healing, there's no provided potions like Estus. You can scavenge for mushrooms that do gradual restoration, and one of the perfect parry abilities can restore your health. Though, as stated earlier, you'll probably lose more health than you gain back with the parry, so hope you like shrooms. Combine that with getting stoned constantly, you've got a fun evening ahead of you. Speaking of health, keep in mind your HP bar is technically twice as much as it seems. When your health hits 0 once, you don't die, you just get knocked out of your current shell. Then you have the chance to reclaim it and return at full health once again, provided you don't get hit while running around au naturel. In fact, if you're clever, you can actually go a 3rd time. When you pick up the husk from the last time you died, you also get back to full health. So, die the first time to a boss, come back, and when you're at low health, swipe up your remains. This is a double-edged sword in a way. On one hand, it's a great feeling to be back at full health again, effectively getting your second wind as your theme starts playing and all your friends are cheering you on. Both of them. On the other hand, it does lower the overall difficulty once you get the hang of it. What you can do is charge up a heavy attack and then get stoned just as you thrust. So when an enemy hits you, you tank a hit and chip away their health, rinse and repeat, and the bosses become a piece of piss. It doesn't stop it from being satisfying, and to be honest, quite funny. There's also the familiarity mechanic, which reveals and boosts an item's effect when you eat it. It's a nice idea, but it's kind of needless as you'll mostly just stick to healing items and avoid trying out any of the others. Mainly because you will at some point have eaten one of the bad ones that just teleports you back the way you came at the cost of all your stuff. That vagary also applies to direction, as while the map is certainly smaller, you'll have little to no idea where the hell you're actually meant to go. Though, a benefit of that is that you can do any of the dungeons in any order, which adds a Breath of the Wild vibe to the whole thing. Well, I say breath. It's more of a black-lunged inhale. And frankly, that's how I describe the atmosphere. It's rocks, swamp, and fog as far as the eye can see, which isn't very far, because there's fog. The actual dungeons are a little brighter, but you are somewhat banking on your love of geology. There's also a noticeable absence of music. The games don't have a haunting ballad for the boss fights, which is a shame, though it does mean you're free to break out any playlist you like, regardless of whether it fits with the game's tone. The smaller scale does fineline a few things. I do appreciate that the bonfires and the upgrade lady are now one and the same. This saves you from travelling back to the hub to spend all your hard-earned tar. Yes, the currency is tar. And also, unlike Dark Souls, you can't just teleport willy-nilly between locales without a bit of grinding first. No, that only becomes available once you fully upgrade one of your 4 shell bodies, so for a majority of the game you won't be able to jump between ladies. That came out wrong. Meaning there will be a bit of trekking, but to be fair, having a teleport off the bat would make the game 5 hours shorter. And like I said, it's only 3 dungeons and a swamp linking them together, so it's not a necessity. So, is Mortal Shell worth your time? Well, it's £30 for 15 hours of the Souls-like experience, with some neat mechanics thrown in for good measure. It's not the most innovative game, but it does what it sets out to do. Plus, I'd be interested to see Cold Symmetry, or any other developer for that matter, further explore the hardening power, as it's a surprisingly solid mechanic. Pun intended, and I'm insulted you had to ask. It's aggravating and a tad glitchy, but it's a good mid-morning snack of a game. I'd put it just a hair above Ghost of Tsushima. Both of them are just concepts we've seen before with minor innovations, as well as having a forgettable filter setting, but Mortal Shell at least doesn't hide it, and the gameplay additions are actually pragmatic. So I say, have fun getting hard, swinging your massive blade, and giving the nice lady all of your tar. Thanks for watching. I wanted to end this by posing a question to you all. Do you think that clones are inherently bad, or can they be done well? Let me know your thoughts, whether in the comments or in our social media pages. Link in the description.